Thank you for staying with us. Peer pressure, a universal phenomenon experienced by teenagers across the globe, plays a considerable role during their formative years. As adolescents strive to carve out their unique identities and personalities, these external influences can deeply impact their mental health, choices, and overall well-being.
Sometimes if they don't develop it well, they become peer-pressured parents.
But let's start with, what is the meaning of peer pressure? Kingsley Obom-Igbulem, the founder of Talent Hub, works with young people. You may remember him from the last time he was with us, also talking about young people and their potential. Good morning, Kingsley.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Well, I know you will permit me to say thank you so much, Alero, but after the studio is Auntie Alero.
Whichever works with you.
No, he has bought the broadcasters, but he also happens to have a radio program or two.
I know. So what is peer pressure?
It's simple, peer pressure. Peer means your mate. Pressure is to be pressed.
Like the pressure cooker.
Simple. Imagine carrying a load, and the load is 10 times
heavier than you.
That's it. That's simple. It's as graphic as that. However, if you push it further, it's like being compelled to do things you ordinarily would not do on a normal day. Your mates, your peers, influencing your lifestyle. Based on one, the prevailing culture, trends, and two, the values that shaped you up until that time.
Some teens, some children, because they're still children really, succumb to this pressure. And some do not. Some resist as much as they can. How does a young person deal with peer pressure? Because whether they like it or not, the pressure is going to be there.
Okay. I think to a large extent, one factor that comes to play in how you manage to navigate through peer pressure is the values on which you were raised as a child. And these values stem from the family we come from. And to a large extent, well, you may excuse me, but that's the reality. The faith you subscribe to. Faith. There's a role of spirituality in all of this, but I don't want to just dwell. I won't dwell much on that, but I'm going to dwell on values. Value is everything. You know, I was speaking somewhere and they were saying social media. Sorry, this is just a slight digression. They said social media is changing our youth, is influencing the way our youth behave. I said no, it is not social media. What social media is doing is unveiling what has been. What social media is doing is helping us see clearly what has been. And what is it? What has been? What has been is that over time we're gradually losing the values on which we're raised, where there's been an erosion of values. And so what social media has done is to help us see clearly what this erosion has done to us.
And how big the problem has been.
Exactly, the magnitude of the problem. For instance, let's assume hypothetically, AY has a young kid on his street that says, now that kid can't look at him and use certain words. Now, AY is on Facebook and he just posted something. Up Chelsea. And this kid is a Man U fan. Just say, useless man. Because they are social media. But this boy is actually showing who he really is.
He really is.
So that's what, so I'm going back to values now. Kids who are raised on strong values, when they confront peer pressure or when they are confronted with the reality of being influenced by their peers, they respond with the values.
But Kingsley, you will also admit that the issue of values has become bigger than ever before.
Yeah.
Because once upon a time, more mothers stayed at home to bring up their children.
Agree.
But because of the circumstances of our lives today, more mothers have to go out to work, not because they want to, they have to augment what comes home to actually bring up these children, put food in their mouths.
Yeah.
So the issue of values, is it not being eroded right from where it's supposed to be coming?
No, what I think is what you painted is an economic picture. That picture is also a test of whether or not we have this value. You know, values not tested, they're actually not values. Until your values are tested, that's when you know that you actually were raised on these values. For instance, you bought a laptop, and the laptop is beautifully packed. My brother, you will not say you have a laptop until
you open it.
You open it, plugged it, and somebody says, "Ayo, please send me," and the laptop is responding. And then there's a power surge, and the laptop is still standing. Say, Omo, this laptop is
correct.
Only when
it's
it is
been
tested.
So when your child, you raise the child, and the child has been in your house 365 days, and now he's 12. Go to town. Let's know how far. So the reality is the dynamics of society, the everyday issues, actually put to test the values that we've been raised on. So whether you're working or not, whether you're making ends meet or not, it is not an excuse. You can still raise these kids based on strong values, knowing that one day they're going to be tested. And if you know, once in a while, expose them to these tests and see how well you're doing.
You know, what you have raised now just raises an issue of like a building a house. No matter what promises that house makes, until you put load on it, you don't know how strong the foundation is.
At all.
So you don't know whether the foundation, whether the house is going to collapse or destroy. Or demolish, because they're two different.
Exactly.
You know, they are two different things. But you know, where I'm going really is this. Because I experienced this in a very touching way. What would happen, for instance, in a public school? If it happened in a private school, it would be different, sort of. Yeah. Here is where I'm going. So once, I made my children go to public school. And I, of course, did some search, and I found out, okay, these schools in Lagos, they had certain parameters. I took them to school with the vehicle every day.
Okay.
So one day, my daughter came and said, "Daddy, don't come and pick me or drop me with the car anymore." Said, "Why?" Said, "No, we will walk."
Okay.
Incidentally, anyway, long and short, later I now asked her, "So why did you say I should stop coming to pick you with the car?" Said they used to call her Omo Get Inside.
Okay.
Omo Get Inside.
Yeah.
So I said,
as in she's housebound. She's locked in the house, and she doesn't go out.
I said, the people who called you Omo Get Inside.
But they wouldn't mind cars fetching them from
Exactly.
Yeah.
I said, the people who called you this, they didn't have what you have.
Yeah. That's a form of peer pressure.
So I now said, but you know that if these same persons were in private school and you went to school on foot,
I mean, the story will be different.
So that speaks to what in particular?
In fact,
it's how do I put it now? It's more of a culture. It's within that climb. That's the prevailing culture, and then you also find out that from the point of view of peer pressure, there's always the tendency for young people, not just young people, for anybody who is a trendsetter, to set the direction that the community, the tribe follows. That's the word, the tribe. Your child is in a new climb, so to speak. And in this climb, this is what is prevailing. So you are an exception. But you see, if you as a parent, if you are privy to this prevailing culture, you can insulate your kids. Yeah. And then you can also look at it from the point of view, okay, what are they going to gain here? Street sense is a life skill. Being street smart is a life skill. So what you've done for your children could also, I mean, it has its own flip side. You may send them there to say, okay, you see what I'm sending you guys here? Is to be street smart. Because even if you go to Harvard and come back, there's a child who will collect your money from you.
Well, you know, the reason I'm asking that question, I want to say something the other time.
Yes, I wanted to corroborate your story.
Okay.
Because I have a family friend who owns a Honda and a Benz. They put their child in one of these highbrow schools in Ikeja. So they went to school to go pick her in the Honda. Daddy, please don't bring the Honda to pick me again.
Of course, I was going to say that. Yeah.
Which one you buy?
What car are you bringing?
Yes. They will ask you.
If you're bringing
holiday time, you're coming to collect me from the boarding house.
Yes.
Daddy, what car are you bringing?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's so many issues to raise here, but there is something you don't want to go into, and I think we need to go into it, and here is why. You see, values are not values because you see them on the face. You live them out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, one of the ways in which parents, I think, try to instill values in their children is through going to one religious environment or the other. There is also the place of community. The Yorubas say
socialization.
Is one parent, a set of parents that give birth to a child. It's the community that raises the child.
Yeah.
In those days.
In those days.
Not anymore.
Yes, because I remember. I remember
in my negative side.
In my hometown, and I've said this quite a few times. At the center of town, there's a sign. Remember the son of whom you are.
Yeah.
It's a community. It's the entire locality. It's not a Christian environment or a Muslim environment, but that sign is there.
Yeah.
Remember the son of whom you are. And there are traditionalists there. But that's a sign in the middle of the town. Remember the son of whom you are. And one of the ways in which people try to instill these values that they will take all over the world is through one religious environment or the other.
Yep.
Now, parents do that because they expect that maybe if I'm able to put these children into this particular space of life, they will turn out in a particular direction.
Yeah.
They will be good children, they will be truthful, they will be honest, and all those things.
And never mind that when they turn 30, they turn around and look at you, I don't believe in God.
Imagine that. So what causes that? I mean, you have done everything you're supposed to do as a parent, and the child is still the way the child is.
Well, okay. Do we have time? The first is, maybe I should start from the, let's use the funnel approach. So let's start from the base now. Hypocrisy is a crime in parenting. If you must commit any crime as a parent, please avoid hypocrisy. If children cannot match your words and your action, you've already started failing. And most of the vices you see around, most of the revolts you see around, the countercultures that seem to question the values on which we're raised, is because of hypocrisy. For instance,
hypocrisy of the parents.
Yes, and then extended to so-called leaders and elders of society.
Just to be clear, ma'am, I'm sorry, Kingsley, just to be clear, when you say hypocrisy of parents, what are you talking about? Please be blunt.
Yes.
They are the ones listening to you. Because you know, as I do, that
I can't say this without being, I can't be hypothetical now. I have to be concrete. I have to give you examples, right? A governor who was barely making a living, a man who was barely making a living. His kids were attending, you know, not so highbrow private school. We all saw him. He became a member of a political party. He was elected a commissioner. 4 years, the wife has 3 private schools, owns 3 private schools. The children are now abroad. My brother, how do you want to explain that to a young child, a teenager, who is watching that man did not steal the money? You cannot defend that. So if you come up to that child and you're preaching morality, he will just be looking at you.
And you are done.
You try.
Uncle, when are you going to be done? Oh, God. Finish this thing, let's move on. The guy has made up his mind. Stealing is a state policy. When it gets to my turn, I will do the same. My teeth. That's 1. 2, a 16-year-old has just gained admission into University of Lagos. First semester, a lecturer approaches her. Nkiru, Aderonke, you have failed this course. And this is just first semester. If you are not ready to spend 8 years in this school, you need to do something urgently. Sir, what should I do now? Go and ask your colleagues. That is my father's mate trying to sleep with me. And you want to come and preach to me that there's no problem, and you want me to subscribe to whatever it is you're preaching about morality. That's not going to happen. If I sleep my way through school, I'm going to continue, and I'm going to see everybody, my bosses, law enforcement, anybody. Jesus. I'm going to see them from that light. I'm in the, I go to the police station. I'm seeing a guy that is old enough to be my father, literally collecting money from a criminal and letting the guy go free. And then tomorrow you come and tell me, then this is the worst. Let me give you this one. This one is the real, the organic of them all. So you're telling me, Amaka, read your book. Amaka, read your book. Amaka, read your book. And I'm reading. It's time to write JAM, UTME, and WAEC. The next thing, I see parents sorting WAEC officials. I'm saying, Beju, who could not write an essay. I know her very well. And she has straight A's, okay? And you're telling me to read? No, I'm not going to read, man. I'm going to toe that line because society celebrates it. And then the last but not the least. You're telling me, don't have sex before marriage. Don't sleep around. Okay. And the next Saturday, we're at a wedding. My cousin, she's 8 months pregnant at a wedding ceremony. You, my mother, we're all there. And you are dancing and praying. Hey. And I'm like, come on. This girl is pregnant. We can all see it. And it's her wedding day. She's just 26. So what happened? Is she a Virgin Mary? Okay, so I'm going to be confused as a young person. What is happening in this society?
So those things, you're saying those things form the pressure?
That's what is breeding what we're seeing now. And at some point, it is no longer pressure. It is now a decision. Based on what? Based on my perception of what society is. Because there's a lot of contradiction as regards to what we call morality, what we call values, what we call principles.
So where does drug use among young people come in?
Hey,
The reason I'm asking.
No, okay, we don't have the whole day.
Okay,
Actually,
now,
we have only 4 minutes.
The drug thing, I told you last time. You see, these days, the feelers we're getting is that before, guys who stray into drug use, guys who take drugs, those days used to be the bad boys,
Okay,
isn't
so
it?
I'm just being correct. Is it drug use or substance use?
Okay, drug use and substance abuse. Okay. Drug and substance, they are the same. You have drugs and you have substance. Okay. They both have the same end. This child wants to feel good, high, and wants to cope.
Why?
Cope with what? Cope with pressure.
The problems that the 14-year-old has.
They're coping with...
I'm going through a lot. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's the lot that they want to cope
Yeah, that they want to cope with.
For instance,
yes.
I'll give you this. Medicine as a course is a difficult course to study. Some kids get into class, they're not sure what they sign up for. Engineering maths is a big deal. To cope through it is not beans. Now you get into school, and man, this thing is hitting you left, right, and then you can't sleep. You're reading, and one boy said, what thing they happen? I said, this thing they scatter my head. They say, take this thing.
Bust my brain.
Just
take this thing.
Take a step down.
Yes.
You took it, and man.
Initially you say
you
no.
feel good.
No! We said no. A guy is lost in his mind. I told you last time, my daughter is writing SAT. And for the first time, she's seen maths that she's never seen before. She called up and said, Daddy, my head is heavy. We had to show up in school. Now, if she's not used to calling me when she has a problem, what will she do? She will sort herself.
Call her friends.
Most times,
call her friends.
Call a friend.
Yeah.
And if her friend has gone through that phase and she navigated through drugs,
or substances.
or substance abuse.
Yeah.
She would just recommend, take this one. When you take this, you'll be fine. Put it in noodles, eat it, and you sleep nice. And you take it the first day, and you slept well. Ha! Boy, that becomes a way of life.
Quickly, Kingsley, how does one form a support network for something like this to help a teenager that you notice is under such pressure?
We need to revive guidance and counseling in public schools. I use the word revive because it's dead. So if anybody's listening now and you have influence in public education, that is like a silver bullet. If we can revive the role and the place of guidance and counseling, and then equip these guidance and counselors, equip them solidly, consistently, training and retraining, so that at least in school youths, I'm using the word in school youths, we can have access to them before they go astray. They know where to go to. In a non-judgmental, empathetic, and, professional way. A child is going through anything, you know that I have a guidance and counselor in school that I can run to. That's a solution. Then you have the next tier. What is that? There's career counseling, which the guidance and counselors can also be equipped to do. Now, some children, they drop off when they can no longer cope with academic rigor. So when you have a trained career advisor or counselor who can help you tie your talent, your strength to the subjects you should be doing. That way you just glide through school.
This challenge, is it something peculiar to boarding school or day students?
No, it's a general thing. And it's not a class, anybody, both the high, the middle class, everybody is going through it. Because school is a microcosm of the society, the average child could easily be tracked while in school. But you see, because the net in our schools, the safety nets, the psychosocial net we have in our schools are so tiny, the threads are thin, that it can't carry these kids. You have a teacher who hasn't even mastered his own life or her own life. How do you attend to a child who is going through, first of all, the child is from an abusive home. a dysfunctional home. Now the child is struggling with academics, and then drugs, sex, everything, and you as a teacher, you don't even know your left from your right. How do you attend to that child?
Indeed, they go through a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot,
Indeed.
really. Quickly,
Yes.
So some parents are watching
And then
right
there
now.
is the faith side.
Okay.
The mosque, the church, and with all due respect, the traditional,
Yeah.
you know, on a lighter note. So if we have that structure, we can, some churches already have counseling department. So what do? Rejig that department in a way that they can be youth-friendly. Young people don't ordinarily go to counseling, because they see all of us adults as hypocritical.
Not an easy thing. Leading to this
So
question.
why should I come to you when you are just like my father who is abusing me at home?
Oh my God. Leading to this question. So what do the parents watching you right now, where do they begin this conversation with their kids? Where do they...
Okay.
There's that distance.
Yes.
There's that distance, that discordance, that dissociation, so to speak. You have
between parent and child.
For a parent listening now, a starting point is do what I called personal parenting audit, PPA. Call your children and sit them down. Say, how have I fared as a parent?
Will they tell the truth?
If you're ready to hear the truth, the children will tell you. What am I doing wrong?
But how do they know? Because they've never had a parent before until you became their parent.
Yeah, I'm saying, you know, he said those watching now.
Yeah.
If you are sincere and you want to redeem the time, you want to move forward, indeed, sit your child down and say, I'm your father. In what way have I messed up? That's the starting point. Let's start from home. How can I improve as a parent?
You know, our time is up.
You have not given me enough pocket money.
No problem. Take all the notes. Take all the notes
Then you now
and
have
then start to address
conversations.
them one by one. Because you see, when you know your problem, you can start to solve them.
You know, I joke with my kids as we round up. I joke with my kids. The only proof you have that I'm your parent is a piece of paper.
They say, Daddy, what are you talking about? I said,
Kingsley Obom Egbulem, founder of the Talent Hub, and a person who deals with young people, as in teenagers. Thank you very much for coming
so
to
much
us
for
this
having me.
morning.
You know, the matter is a long matter.
Yeah,
We've only
this
just
is part
started,
one.
so we need to bring you back to continue this discussion because it's very, very important. Because a lot of teenagers are struggling at home,
And a lot of
parents are struggling to cope with their teenagers.
They don't
So we
understand.
need to talk about this more,
frequently,
so that even parents can become better parents to these children who complain that their parents never know
There are
the
a
lots
lot
that
of
they're going through.
angry teenagers out there.
Angry
Yes.
Nigerian youths. Oh,
Yes.
sorry. Okay.
Sunrise will be right back with the home stretch in just a moment. Do stay with us.